Welcome to this week's Nitty Gritty. I'm excited. We have one of my best friends, McKenna Brown, with us today. McKenna, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to come. It really is an honor.
She's one of your best friends, but I've never met her.
I know, but I feel like I know you, though.
Right?
They talk a lot about you when we're together.
Oh,
all
yikes.
good things.
I hope
all
it's
good
good things. I only say good things about them. Not all in-laws, but them. I do. I'm just kidding. I got to stop joking like that.
They're going to get you.
Well, they've got me plenty. We're still not even close to even. So anyway, welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me here again.
Thanks for the donuts.
Oh, yeah, guys.
She came bearing treats for sure.
There's always a good excuse to eat a donut. That's my theme.
It's really easy to get us in a good mood, and it's just bring a couple of treats, and it helps a lot.
Yes, donuts are always a win.
Man, I don't even know. It's so easy for me to get going because we know. So we've known McKenna for a long time.
Yeah, you and Jenna.
Yeah, so we've been good friends for a while, and I've had you in the back of my mind to come on for a while, and then we learned that you're all of a sudden a big deal.
Oh, no. I love you.
And now you get to go around travel and speaking and doing all this fun stuff. So I thought it'd be a cool time to bring you on before you got too big and you wouldn't come on.
Oh, my gosh.
Before we had to call her
there were times
agent.
I'm like, I'm waiting for Andrew to ask me. I'm like, but timing's everything. I'll just wait for when he, if and when I'd be honored to come. So
here we
are.
So McKenna, what is it? I don't even know how to start. You asked the first question since you don't know her. This is like one of those
How old are you? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm 32. No shame.
So I want to know more about the speaking thing because so far that's all I really know.
Do you want me to start?
You were in Roy this morning.
I was in Roy speaking to the
right?
cheerleaders. Yes.
So tell us about that.
Okay, so maybe do you want me to start from how it came to be? And
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so all of my platform, I am the owner and creator of and designer for my Wonder Woman journal. After my fourth child, I suffered with extreme postpartum depression and anxiety, and it nearly destroyed my family. I always say, if we can make it through this, we can get through anything. I'm grateful to be alive. I know sometimes
that's real too.
Yeah, I know people get uncomfortable, but I feel like the more I share my story, the more women feel like they're not alone. And it all started with maternal mental health. I almost jumped in front of a traffic. I ended up at the hospital, but that was the start of my journey, right? And I'm grateful for a loving Heavenly Father. And I felt the most unconditional love from him and my Savior, Jesus Christ. And not to get too spiritual, but it really was such a spiritual experience for me. And an amazing husband and children, because I felt like I genuinely felt like my family deserved better. I felt like if I wasn't here, Scott could remarry and get a better, more loving, patient wife. This mom, and that's just never me. They can't see me, but just kind of like, this wife that's perfect, and I'm not. And, but I'm embracing my imperfections, and I feel like I call it flawsome. I'm flawed, but I'm still awesome. And
awesome. I like that.
It's a good one.
I didn't make it up. It was just on Pinterest, and I tell women all the time, you're flawsome, and I'm perfectly imperfect. And when I came home from the hospital, not to ramble, but it was such a life-altering moment for me when my neighbor came over, in an amazing neighborhood. But she said, "How was your weekend?" And usually I'd be like, "Oh, life's great, life's perfect, and everything."
I like this hand gesture.
I don't know why I keep doing
holding it
No,
together.
because it does tell that story. Just like,
but I looked at her and I looked haggard, and I just, and I went, "Well." I was
shitty, that's how it's
I
been.
literally gave her like the shotgun. Like, I was at the behavior hospital. How's your weekend?
Have you ever been committed?
Yeah, no, seriously. And she opened up and said some pretty personal things that she had never said out loud. And it was this connection that we had that I felt like, maybe there's something about, not that my story is anything, it's common. But I felt like I have no shame in saying these things, that maybe that's what
that's
journey
uncommon, right?
I'm supposed to go on. And I felt that, and I took the next right step. And next thing you know, I was reading this book by Gaynell Lynn Condi, and it's in Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints book. She's an amazing author. I've yet to meet her. I'm like scared to reach out to her, but in her book, it says,
put it out there.
I know. Hey, hey. In her book, she talks about Wonder Woman moments, and she was the one who was behind those. And she talks about that all the time. And she said, every woman needs a Wonder Woman journal. And I went, people from time to time have told me that I look like Wonder Woman. And I thought, Scott, maybe that's the blog I'm going to do. Is write my stories. And that will be my blog, my Wonder Woman journal, mine. And then I had this idea, wait, every woman needs a Wonder Woman journal. So I wanted to fulfill what Gaynell and Condi said, that everyone, I go, I'll just create it for everyone. So I went through and I created it. And these Wonder Woman moments that she says are the good, celebrating the good, whether some days for me that was just breathing.
Right.
And the hard, embracing the hard, embracing like, hey, yeah, this was hard. And when I spoke to the cheerleaders this morning, that like Jesus wept, right? It's okay to sit in the hard and like cry and say like, this is hard. And that needs to be celebrated because it's in the hard where we learn our lessons. Embracing the hard, learning to laugh. I have a lot of funnies. Like if I could just write a book on funnies. I call them the funnies. Driving off with the car pump in my car, I happened to
with
the gas pump in the car. And literally I just walk in.
There's so many people that have done that.
Twice in 6 months, guys. No, 6 weeks. And I walk in, same
to move to
gas
Oregon,
station.
Where they pump it for you.
Same gas station. I walk in, I'm like, me again, Oh, no. But guess what, guys? It just pops right back on. So don't even stress. I literally was like,
They're probably made to detach now, huh? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I was just laughing and
It's like a lizard's tail.
it just comes
Goes right back.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy. He probably just laughs when his tail falls off and it's fine because it grows back.
Yep.
Oh, McKenna.
Oh my God. Okay, but
third time's a charm.
Learning to laugh at yourself is a Wonder Woman moment because not taking life too seriously is huge. Because sometimes in our moments of stress or frustration, when something happens, it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. But if we just took a step back and go, oh my gosh, of course. Like, of course I stubbed my, or drove off with the gas pump in my car or, I'm full of it. My daughter actually tripped going up the stairs and I was like, are you okay? And she looked at me and goes, I think, Mom, it's a Wonder Girl moment. It's fine. And we laughed. So anyways,
cute.
I created this journal. From the journal, people would come to me and say, well, I don't know how to journal. I'm like, that's fine. Start with gratitude. So I created a gratitude journal. Then after that, after Hawaii, when we were in Hawaii, I told my girls we're going to step outside our comfort zones every day. And confidence just was exuding through them when we came home. Like they were new kids. They found some skill sets inside of them that they didn't even know existed. And they are new kids. And I thought I need to create a program for young girls. So I created
So what were you doing out there that helped that?
Okay. So when we first got there, honestly, the ocean scared me. My friend took me shelling. I was just in the shore break, but I was scared to like put my head in and swim around. And then next thing you know, that we were doing that every day towards the end of the trip, there were some dolphins about 150 yards from shore off Waimea. And we swam. Harper and I put our goggles on and she brought a boogie board because it was kind of far. I didn't put I put on my flippers and snorkel gear, got my GoPro, and we swam 150 yards offshore.
Saltwater's the best.
Yeah, it really is. You float. It's very buoyant.
Me with my body composition and saltwater, they really go well together.
Do you go to those
I can
baths?
float for I can tread water in the ocean for 10 hours and it wouldn't even.
That's amazing.
It's the best. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not you, Andrew, or you. You guys
treading water in the ocean is definitely hard for me.
Right.
We did it. And the dolphins, we swam with a pod of dolphins, offshore.
That's
and
so
a baby
cool.
broke off. And it was just this moment, life begins outside our comfort zones. And I've really, truly seen my kids' lives change. So
I want to rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you very quickly kind of breezed over how we got to this point, right?
Right.
And I actually remember there's a couple of specific conversations that we had, when stuff was going on.
I remember flashbacks right now.
You know?
Looking at you. Yes.
I'll never forget, we had gone out and we were at a dessert place and you were talking about the idea of the journal.
Yeah.
I remember that was the first time and you're like, I
think I'm going to do this.
Feeling. I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah.
Right. But even go back a little bit further. So after their fourth, did you, your other 3 kids, you had 3 little girls.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any type of postpartum with those 3?
Yes. I just didn't realize that I did.
Okay.
And I felt like it wasn't as strong. And okay, so rewind. Harper and Quinn are really close. So I didn't really have time to even process any thoughts before I was pregnant again. So I always dismissed everything as hormonal. After Quinn came, I did go through a lot of postpartum depression that I didn't recognize I was in until I was out. Looking back.
Why is that so common? I feel like that's like one of the most common things that we hear as you talk about it is I didn't realize I was in it until I was out of it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes until it was too late.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so why is it that it's so hard for us to, recognize what's going on?
I think because as society, we've just been taught that it's normal. Like,
So like what was happening? Like, how did you
I never wanted to be home. I got a nanny so I didn't have to be home ever. I didn't have to parent. I didn't have to be there. And I was very disconnected, and I was looking for happiness in everywhere but parenthood and being a wife. I was looking, I was golfing, I was shopping, I was trying to find fulfillment, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but in all the wrong areas that I was caught up in trying to be like just anything outside of being a mom and a wife. And I wasn't connecting with my kids. And I think that to say that's okay, and that some people feel shameful for admitting that because we're not.
Especially here, right?
Yeah.
It's because being a mom, family's a big deal here with our culture. And being able to admit that I just don't want to be a mom right now. I don't want to be a wife. Like, I think that would probably be twice as hard here as most places.
For sure.
Well, and I remember there's this amazing place, this nonprofit organization called the Emily Effect, and he lost his wife to postpartum depression. And I remember when she ran into oncoming traffic on the freeway and took her life, and that really made an impact on me because I knew I wasn't there, obviously yet. But I remember looking it up and thinking, okay, I do have this, not to that extreme, but maybe down the road. It's funny how when you look back, all the moments that led you to where you are today.
Sure.
I need to tell women that there are so many different levels of maternal mental health or mental health.
Sure.
And we only hear about this. So we think if I don't want to shake my baby, I don't want to run into oncoming traffic, I don't have postpartum depression. But there's 10 levels and then layers within each level. It looks different for each person. And I think it's important educating ourselves that when we just feel off, that it's okay to say something, and that doctors, I think as women, were scared to speak up out of judgment. Or I did read a story that a woman got the police called on her because she opened up about how she felt about her children, but really she was just screaming for help.
Right.
And as a stigma, we look at these women who crazy, quote unquote, when I hear these stories and I think, I'm like, didn't she just have twins? Like, we always say boys will be boys. Like, let's eliminate girls will be girls. Like, there really is what is the underlying issue here? And I really think it bases down to making sure our women as a society are taken care of, like making sure they feel comfortable talking about their feelings and how I would say weekly, I help women across the country. I've helped people in Britain to New Zealand, to Alaska, find resources for them because they just don't know where to go.
Right.
So, how do you, as a husband,
Yeah.
how can you help provide like that place to have that conversation?
Yeah.
You
Right.
can't.
Well, I would
You
just
can't.
say it's
That
so
sounds like
hard.
a lose-lose to me.
Like, I remember a wife talking to me about or her husband said well, she just lost it over the garbage can and and I would go, but it's not the garbage can. Like, what if we just take a step back and understand who you fell in love with and that you love her unconditionally. And as long as you tell her you love her unconditionally, that there's nothing you can say. This is what I tell my children all the time. My husband too. There's nothing you could say. There's nothing you could do that'd make me love you any less. We're human and the natural man is real. And is when we step away from perfectionism and embrace who you are, just know I'm here for you. And I think Scott is our journey, he's the perfect example. Mental health to us, we were those people, right? That thought, oh, just be more positive or just pray harder. Or
It's amazing how many people don't take that seriously.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, even my family.
Well, the truth is, I don't think anyone takes it serious until you're in it.
Well, right.
Because I think it's really hard from the outside, not having that experience, to really truly understand what's going on, because it doesn't make logical sense. Right. And so if someone is explaining what's going on
from the outside looking in, you're like, you're crazy.
And it's not even from a place of judgment necessarily. It's just so hard to comprehend what it is that person is feeling. And it's really hard for the person to explain how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so I think that adds to the difficulty in having conversations because it's hard without going through it to know either how to help or
what to say,
what to do.
Well, I had a neighbor actually just the other day came up to me and she said, "Thank you for sharing so much light on mental health and your maternal mental health. I didn't experience any of this, but I understand now that I don't understand." And there's power in that, and just embracing like, I don't know everything and I don't need to find a place of understanding. I can just know I don't understand, but I'm here to listen and I'm here to be unconditionally loving, because it's hard to explain when you're not in it. So for the longest time, we're like, medication numbs you, or medication, don't do it. Medication, this or that. And when I was up between a rock and a hard place, literally like, if we don't fix this, we won't be married anymore. Like our family will fall apart. We can't live like this anymore. I just remember crying with this medication in front of me, and I just was sobbing. I'm like, no, I'm stronger than this. I'm stronger than this. And Scott's like, babe, you got this. Like he did a lot of research on his own. I think that's one thing we can just seek to understand and educate ourselves as much as we can. Right. And my friend was there with me, and I was sobbing because I just felt so shameful. And I don't know, looking back, I'm just like, I wish I could just hug myself and be like, it's fine. But what it did for me, my friend said, the bravest thing you can do is take this medication, because it's going to only help you. And we've since adjusted and got myself to a really healthy place that I explain to people. I think this is important, that medication is not a fix all. It will not fix your problems. But what it did for me, and I believe down the road I can get off of this. I'm really close. I'm on a very minor dose, but it just is just enough for me. I was drowning and I was just barely coming up for air. And I was just trying to live to the next moment, like hour, some days next half hour. But what the medication did for me in that moment of fogginess, where the things weren't connecting and the chemical imbalance was not making sense, it handed me a raft. So I'm still in deep water, but I've given a raft where I can now go, okay, I can breathe and assess the situation. Where am I? Okay, now I'm going to paddle towards shore. And as I gain more resources, like, oh, here's a paddle. I'm just going to pick this up now, gain more knowledge. And I really feel like I'm close to shore, where I can just say, you know what? I think I'm ready to get off of this, and I've gained the skill sets. And anyways, I just think that's really important for people to remember that our brain is a muscle, and it's an organ. You go to the doctor for diabetes. You go to the doctor if you break your arm. Your brain is an organ, and it needs help sometimes, and that's okay.
That's the funny, like, medication is always, it's like, even if you can't get off it, who cares? That's
exactly.
What people don't understand is our bodies aren't perfect.
Yep.
Right. And everybody's functions differently.
Like if you have low insulin, you take insulin.
Right. And so, yes, it can become a crutch for some people, but that's not for us to judge.
Absolutely.
And, talking about medication. So I'm very, very open about my ADHD. Mm-hmm. And I've been on medication for years. And I'm very open about it because I'm tired of people feeling that, like, I'm lesser than if I need to take Adderall. For example, if you have ADHD, it's like, no, your brain doesn't produce dopamine. Like it doesn't. But that's something that you need to focus, to feel rewarded. Like, so mental health is the same thing.
Exactly. They'll say, well, you need to sort through your thoughts and don't let medication numb you. I've literally had someone say that to me recently. And I said, but what if I can't sort through my thoughts without medication?
Yeah. That's
like,
funny.
I can't sort through my thoughts.
Were they a doctor?
No.
Oh, interesting. Weird.
But all I'm saying is...
So here's the thing. I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Right? We've had really good conversations, Cam and I, and actually we've had a lot of these conversations, McKenna as well, with when we go out. Because I feel like there's, I don't know the right word, like how do you get to that place where you understand like what the medication does for you? And you ask the question about a doctor. It's also like, I'm scared that doctors just kind of throw pills at people sometimes too.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And so like, I feel like,
I'm just saying, don't judge and tell somebody what to do if you're not one.
Totally. I'm saying I want to get judgment. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about like in the moment, like how do you get to the place where you know,
the right stuff.
You don't feel like you are going to become like dependent on something,
For
right?
sure.
Like I talk to guys all the time, and they start taking all sorts of crap to work out, and it's like the problem is once you start that, you're never going to get off of that,
right?
And so like how do you find that balance?
Well, and there's some stuff you never will. It's like insulin, like what you were just talking about. A type 1 diabetic will never get off of having to take that, right? Or maintain it. Same with ADHD. Like
I think that
it's a permanent thing that my brain will never produce. So it's like, for me, Adderall, although it, like you said, it doesn't fix everything, right? It's part of the program.
Well, it's not there to fix it. It's there to get you to the baseline, right?
Totally
That's
right.
the goal,
Get you
to
the
get you
baseline.
there.
But
I do think a lot of men and women are scared to get on that because they don't have like an extreme condition yet, and they're afraid like, well, I can just sort through this right now and I don't need a little extra help. But what I realized, I wish I wouldn't have let myself suffer for so long, that there are people that get on and have a plan to get off. Like you can, if you do it the right, like there's not I want to be careful how I say this, but there are ways. I went to a psychiatrist and she took a blood test to see what I'm compatible with. So we didn't have to do trial and error, which eliminates a lot of time and heartache and just exhaustion. That's why I was scared to get on, because I didn't know what was going to work for me.
Right.
To be honest, I was scared of weight gain. Like I was scared of things that would actually make me depressed, like all the side effects. And so I was really careful, and we found out that I was actually really not compatible with a lot. She's like, I'm so grateful we did this test.
There's so many different drugs. That's the crazy part.
And that we actually were able to skip like 10 steps to get me on the right stuff. And then I was like, I feel a little numb. She's like, awesome, let's half it. And then we halved it, and I still feel emotion where it's hard. If I had it higher, I'd be just like, just getting cupped my hands.
It's like, I'm actually a nun now.
But I enjoy crying. Like, not that I like crying all the time, but I want to know if I want to cry, I can cry. But before I was like, why am I not crying right now? Like,
see, and that totally right. And you just have to be honest with yourself. And that's the one part about doctors that's worrisome. Like ADHD is still a very like undertreated, well, not undertreated. It might be overtreated as far as medicine goes, but there aren't very many specialists that I can sit, like what you were just talking about with like having somebody like draw blood, like find the medicine that works with your genetics. And then actively, like, how are you feeling today?
Well, I tell
people, do we need to back off? Do we need to up it? Do we need to try something different? A lot of times it is what you said, Andrew. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, here, try this. We'll see what happens. And it's just trial and error. And sometimes when you're talking about like postpartum, it can go the opposite direction. You take a certain antidepressant and you do want to run in front of a bus.
Yeah.
And
well, because it's like my brother went in for something. He got diagnosed. He got prescribed these pills, and like after, like he, after the doctor's like, that was like a death contraption. Like for sure, whoever did that, right?
Well, and it's like people who have bipolar and it's so scary. So all I have to say is there's no shame. What my message is there's no shame in seeking help. There's no shame in asking for help and embracing that you're human. And
there's no shame if you take some medicine to help you.
And like we have resources all around us. We don't have wine.
You see it on TV all the time.
Or do we? Just kidding.
Honey,
look what we do have, though.
It's true.
Holding up
it's true. But it's, everybody has their way to, the verb to medicate, right? I don't like that. But to treat a symptom.
But my way to get through to women is I feel so grateful to have been able to create something tangible.
Sure.
And have a call to action to help women feel like whenever someone reaches out as a resource, I send them a journal. And I love just being able to have, so I have a Wonder Woman journal that's just blank. And I just say, take it. I'll take it to the store. If I see a mom struggling, like, here, take a journal. I just love having something tangible and a call to action.
Husbands, don't give this journal to your wife. Have her sister give it to her.
No.
We would get in trouble.
I've had lots of husbands. It's not just about maternal mental health.
Have the kids give it to her.
It's about telling her she's a Wonder Woman.
For sure.
So it's that she has this. So I tell women, you don't need to change who you are to be a Wonder Woman. You have all this.
Look, if you're a woman, you're a Wonder Woman. Being a woman, I wouldn't want to be a woman.
No.
Like at all. Like you guys are much tougher than we are.
We do have a lot more moving variables than men
right.
do.
No, for sure.
But there's also a lot of beauty in being a woman, and I think there's a lot of things that we shame ourselves for, that, hormones and all these things that but anyways, it's evolved into something even bigger as of right now that I ever imagined it to be. So there is a need, and people are craving it. I started a retreat. I haven't done it. It's this next week, but I posted it for a day. And in less than a day and a half, I had 12 people sign up, and we were only going to take 10. And now I have 11 women on the waiting list.
That's awesome. And
so there is a need, and women just are craving, especially with COVID, connection and validation and resources and healing.
Right.
So
I want to back up even further. So where are you from? Like, where'd you grow up? You're from Provo.
Provo. Okay. Still live in Provo.
How many brothers, sisters? Well, no, I find that interesting because a lot of the, we talk a lot, especially in here, we have a lot of female guests, right? And we do talk about the kind of shame. Yeah. Like you feel like you have to be a perfect mom or a perfect wife, and
that's what social media is.
Well,
that's what for a lot of people.
For a lot of people,
that's what it is.
I mean, I bare my soul on social media, so if you want to feel better about yourself, you can just go follow me, and I'll really help you feel good.
Well, I just wonder. So, how many brothers and sisters?
I have one older brother, best brother in the world, and then I have 2 sisters, one of which lives with me. Love her so much. And I'm the youngest by a long shot. I've got 10 years, 9 years, 7-ish years apart from those ones.
So the whole, you thinking, because I remember you were saying a few minutes ago, just you felt like you had to be the perfect wife or whatever. Like, where does that come from? Or where do you think that came from?
I just feel like proving myself. I think growing up, I never was taken seriously by my siblings. I'm the youngest. I mean, that's no bash at them. I'm just like the baby.
Right.
So I think always proving myself. And I think growing up in organized religion, I love my religion, but there is a stigma of being perfect,
especially here.
Yeah,
right?
Especially within our culture. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to be the best I can be, and I think that stems from trying to be taken serious. And being something that I thought I was supposed to be or should be. Right. And so I now have this saying, I'm not going to cuss on here, I promise.
Why not? I already cussed. It's fine.
I mean, I say F the shoulds.
Right.
Like F the shoulds. Like, and I need
We don't use the word should.
No, I hate the word should. Because I should do this, and I'm supposed to do this, and I should do this, and I should. And it's like, F the shoulds, and just...
You should add that to the Nike. I mean, it kind of goes together, right? F the shoulds, just do it.
Yeah. F the shoulds, and just
do it.
Embrace. And I think because of culture, and it's an amazing culture, there's so many pros, we're so involved with everybody, and it's all keeping up. And in the best way, I'm not trying to bash it in any way, but it can be easy to judge. For sure. And it can be easy to try to keep up.
Well, and I think that's more.
Well, I'm
going to get in trouble for this.
We are our own worst critic.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's true too.
And what you realize is everyone feels the same way. Nobody feels like they fit in.
Well, that's
nobody feels like they're being perfect. But we're all trying to put on this facade because we think everyone else is putting on this facade.
Well, yeah, it's crazy because even that, there's so many parallels. I was talking to a buddy just yesterday about this. Just get the donuts away.
But
I was talking to a buddy yesterday about this idea, but in business. So he's just starting a business, and he was like, I always just figured everyone has their crap together. I'm like, no, dude, business is messy. Growth is messy in business and personal. Yep. And it's just everyone honestly is not faking it, but everyone's going through crap. Right. He's like, we shouldn't be having these problems. No, that's what business is.
100%.
When I kind of told my husband I wanted to write a book on this, and I didn't know what the title should be, but it's about the peg holes, society's peg holes. And I've always my whole life have put this peg hole in front of me, and I'm like, okay, we all have our own pegboard. We have religion, whatever your belief system, you have your culture, you have work, whatever your peg holes are, family, friends, and I see these little circles. Well, I've always felt like I was a square. And I've always been outspoken. I've always been just a little different.
You're definitely not a square. That's the wrong shape.
I know,
but listen, triangle or something.
Listen, and I start to like hold
a rhombus.
Well, what's awesome is like as it keeps going, like the second portion of the book, I'm like, the first part, I'm like shaving down this square to fit in, and all of a sudden I just like that Cinderella stepsister foot like just pops out of the shoe. I'm like, I'm not fitting into this stupid glass slipper, and I decided, you know what? I phase in my life, I am a square. And I started shaving down my corners or triangle, whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to sharpen and as I embraced the squareness,
right,
I saw like different shapes. I realized I'm not a square. I'm like this awkward shape that like has this random star jumping off here at this side. And I have this triangle bursting out here and it's evolving. And and it's an evolving shape, and I'm proud of that. And I'm embracing the journey and like the hard and the good and the funny and like all those moments I deem Wonder Woman moments. And then the third part of the book, the very end, is going to be like, joke's on you. There's no effing pegboard. I almost said that word.
Every like few minutes I like her even more.
There's no pegboard.
Right.
Joke's on you.
For sure.
Joke's on us. There's no pegboard. We put that pegboard in front of us and we put those expectations on ourselves, not society. We feel that pressure from ourselves. And that's what I want to walk people through in this book, that I don't know what it's going to look like, but I feel it in my bones of like, people just need to hear that.
Right.
Like we all try to fit ourselves in these like circles or a box, like F the box, F the shoulds, F the pegboard. F. Just kidding.
F.
I'm sorry.
Big capital F. That was the book.
Capital F. I really told Scott, I was like, I think I'm going to call F the shoulds. He's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't. Just kidding.
Well, we all have to be okay with just being us. And there's comfort, everybody wants to be an individual, right? Or they want to stand out or be unique, but you don't realize that you already are.
Right? That's what I tell women.
Megan, her quote from her dad, everyone's unique.
That was awesome.
What was it? Like you are unique, but so is everyone.
I love that.
That's what her
You're
dad
unique,
told her.
But so is everybody else.
Yeah. It's just like, and we're all created uniquely different.
Right.
So what makes us the same is our differences, right?
I told the girls this morning, and I've told multiple youth groups of girls, that if God made us all so different, why would he want us all to be the same? He doesn't.
Amen.
You all are your individual individual Wonder Girls. You all have the skill set and a purpose to be who you're meant to be. That's it.
Right. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, there's just your way, right? And
we're all scared of being different, or people are scared of people who are different.
Right.
Everyone's scared of failing.
Yeah.
In life, in business, everything. Like everyone's so terrified, but it's so awesome to fail, because that's an opportunity to learn, to progress, to get better. So,
yeah.
Well, and we live in a place that, what I was going to say earlier is, I might get in trouble for this.
Do it.
Women are tougher on women.
Oh, 1,000%.
Right?
No, it's true.
The whole judgment thing, it is hard. And I think it starts younger. You hear the stories in middle school.
Yep.
Guys, I heard a great comedy bit, and I think I've shared it on here, where this guy was just kind of talking about how men and women walk around, and it's like women are just looking at other girls like, oh, she's ugly. I hate her. She's a bitch.
But see,
guys are walking around going, I could kick his ass. I could kick that guy's ass for sure.
But see, I felt so different growing up, because whenever I saw a cute girl, and I feel the same way today as I did as in high school, whenever I see a cute girl, I'm like, oh, she's so cute, I want to be her friend. And people just don't know.
That's not normal.
I know, but I see a cute girl and I'm like, oh, I want to be your friend. Oh, come in, come hither. And I tell people, so I've gone to a lot of retreats. I shouldn't say a lot, I've been to 3.
Right.
A lot in the last year and a half. So when we sit there and we say what happens at TP stays at TP, and we are all vulnerable together and we're all rooting for each other. There's only about 12 of us sitting there, but there is power. There is power with women who support each other.
For sure.
And I think that that's the adversary. I feel like genuinely Satan knows that if he can get through women to not like women, because he knows together we can achieve so much, that's what I want to create with my Wonder Woman journal on my page, with these retreats I'm starting to do. is to say there's so much power together and helping support each other through our own journeys that there is in this small group of 12 people. Can you imagine 24?
Right.
All 50, like all, if we could all just look at a woman and be happy, genuinely happy for her success. I have found the best group of girls. They all own their own business. They all want to help women, and we all root for each other. And we have this Marco Polo going, and we all are just cheering each other on. And we never feel like if someone's not there, they're not on the menu, because that's how you can tell if you're around a good group of women or like a toxic group of women. And I've lived through that bullying as a grown ass woman. It's freaking pathetic.
Yep.
If you can tell how others are talking about people when they're not in the room, run.
Yeah.
Run away. If they're saying bad things about other people, guess what? They're saying that about you. Find a better group of individuals. It took me a minute to be alone for a while, but I promise you there are good women out there that are supporting other women. And it's a new movement that I'm really excited to come full swing, because it's going to really change the world. I mean, that sounds so cheesy, but we're going to move mountains.
That's awesome.
Men and women.
Well, I think it happened.
I mean, yeah.
Well, we hear the stories all the time. A lot of our guests in the past come from a similar type of group, right? Where, I think in like the business world in Utah, like this mindset of abundance is really open, where, they're very willing to share ideas and support each other and celebrate in other people's success.
Well, they're saying their success is not taking away from your success.
It's such a simple concept, but it's such a hard concept to really understand.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, if you're successful, that means that I can't.
Well, being successful is under attack right now, like everywhere. I mean, that's, just with the media and with politics and with everything else.
There will always be naysayers. Just remember, surround yourself with good people and just dismiss all that bull crap, because there are really good people out there supporting each other. And I think that there's so much power behind my children. My 10-year-old already knows the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset, because when they get treats and they don't want to share, and I tell them there's always more treats, there's always more things, there's always this. Like, we were at a cheer competition and we had an extra bow, and I just gave it to the other mom because she lost. I'm like, you can just keep it. She's like, you gave that away. I'm like, you already have a bow. And she goes, I go, abundance, and she's like, not scarcity. Da, da, da. I'm like, right. Like, it's important that our children, if we can teach this next generation the difference between an abundance mindset, there's room for everyone. Tearing somebody down to make yourself higher is not the way. Right. We building each other up, it makes us all stronger.
Takes a lot more work, though. I think, like human nature, it's just, I mean, like you learned, right? Like with it's so hard to face our inborn like weaknesses and struggles and be able to say like, yeah, maybe I was part of that group. Like, the people talking crap or whatever else.
I've been there with mental health.
For sure.
Women, absolutely.
And it's something you brought up earlier that I want to talk about is just the whole being real thing, like being able to talk about it and not feeling ashamed to say that I did deal with depression and I do take medication. Like, it's amazing how many people come out of the woodwork. It's like, oh, I'm safe with her. Like, okay, well, here's my problems.
Absolutely.
And that's how it starts. Like, you just have to share and not be so worried about others judging you. And it's hard. That's a hard thing to do. Talk to the right
people and they can help you. And I just remember one time this mom came to me and she goes, oh, McKenna, you have it all together. I started laughing. I was like, oh, sweetie, I'm such a fraud. Like, I have put this on. I have put on this perfect persona,
right?
With my husband's job, with religion, with these different societies, it's just like you're supposed to, like, you just thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, now that I'm a fraud, let's kind of deconstruct a little bit. And let me tell you a little bit about like how not together I am.
Right. Or you mean how normal you are.
Yeah.
Like it's not even that you're not together. That's just, we're human beings. Like, we're imperfect.
That's an important point.
Right. It's very normal. Calling it a flaw is almost, it should never be called a flaw.
Yeah.
Like, it's just life.
Yeah.
Like, we all go through it. And I mean, like the postpartum thing, it's a scary thing.
It is.
But it's crazy that we feel like we can't be open with that.
I think education is key. Educating yourself on what depression is, what anxiety is, what are the signs, what to look for.
So what are the signs, if you don't mind me asking? I was going to ask that earlier, like, because I think, like you said, there's probably a lot of women that, one, maybe they don't want to admit that postpartum is an issue for them, or
they don't know that is what it is.
That's what I think would be the bigger problem is what.
To your point, it's like, it's normal, like, I just had a baby or whatever it is, like, yeah, my body's off.
Right.
And they just kind of
like, well, yeah, you just had a baby. Just hang tight.
Right. It'll all get better.
Like, I'm buckled up, I promise. I'm in like a straitjacket.
Yeah, that's like,
like I'm not.
Oh, that's got to be so hard. And then your family, how can they help, or what can they be looking for? So I don't know.
Well, for me, I never knew about postpartum rage.
Right.
So I believe it's not just postpartum, but that is something that is common after. I never want to use the word normal because it's not normal to feel this way, but it is common.
Sure.
I was so ashamed of this for so long. I actually told my husband like lots later in therapy. I'm like, there's things I've never told you. And he's like, what? I'm like, oh. So I'll back up. There was a story. So postpartum rage is you're quick to snap. Like anything sets you off and you'll lose your screaming, losing it.
Didn't that feel good?
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. I like it.
It's a problem, but or not. I just mean it's fine. I'm working on it. But like I lost it. I would lose it. I would scream a lot. I would throw things. I never hit my kids.
Why?
I know. Just kidding.
It's fun.
No, but I never hit my kids. But I okay, the day I drove myself to behavior hospital, I threw a chair against the wall and broke it. I threw the big horse. It's so embarrassing. Like I cry a lot when I tell this story because I feel like I'm learning to release that shame because I've held it. Because I feel like I scarred my kids forever. But I haven't. So
you have.
Good news is they're okay. But I remember one day I was holding my baby on my left hip and I had my right hand, and I have these doors in my bathroom where the handles touch. Like if they're both open, they hit. So it's like the towel closet and then the open to go in there. And I just started, they're solid door handles.
Right.
Solid. And I literally started banging them together, and I just hit them over and over and over again. And I was sobbing, and I just broke them. They broke. And I just sat on the floor crying, and I was just holding my baby crying. Again, this is an extreme situation, but I didn't understand the anger inside of me. I felt like I was a boiling pot of water, and I kept trying to turn the simmer down. And I just kept, at any minute it would just boil over. And people and moms don't understand that is common, but it's not normal. You don't have to feel that way. You don't have to suffer like that. And I remember Scott walks in and he's like, well, I wasn't crying then. I was totally normal-ish on the surface. Ish, because I was definitely not normal. He's like, whoa, what happened to the door handles? And my little girl, who's lighter than a feather, I was like, oh, Sloan. She likes to hang on those door handles. I blamed it on my 4-year-old daughter. I am ashamed.
That is funny.
But we were in therapy, and I looked at him and I said, you know the door handles? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I broke them. And he actually started to cry. He's like, I am so sorry that you felt that much anger that you had to break the door handle. Right. So just obviously that's an extreme sign. But if you're feeling quick to anger, you're feeling like you don't want to get out of bed, you're exhausted. As moms, we already are exhausted, but there's moments where you literally are not motivated.
See, that's
to get out of bed.
To me, that's the number one sign of depression.
And I would just cry in bed, and my husband would just come sit by me, and I would just cry. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't get out of bed. But with the Wonder Woman moments, I tell women now and girls that those days, there were still things to be celebrated, that I was breathing, and breathing is a Wonder Woman moment. You living life is and celebrate that moment until you get to the next step. Even if you just got out of bed to go to the bathroom, celebrate that you got out of bed and went to the bathroom.
Well,
you got in the shower.
Breaking those handles is kind of a Wonder Woman.
I know, right?
Think about it.
Check out this
you know what I'm saying?
I'm
just saying.
I looked at him and I was like, I wasn't expecting them to break.
Right.
And I was like, whoa.
I think men are.
That is actually.
Any men listening to this are probably like, what's wrong with that? Well, that's how we express. When we're pissed, we want to hit things, we want to kick things.
It's actually
throw
a very great object lesson to let you know you are stronger than you think you are. You are a Wonder Woman. It's actually great full circle to come back to that. But it's another moment of women when I walk them through, just to celebrate. embracing that hard, like allowing yourself to cry and getting up if you trip, like laugh or whatever that may be. And getting outside your comfort zone, serving others, or serving yourself, going and getting your nails done. I feel like there's a lot of self-shame and self-care. No, because I know you can't be who you need to be if you're not taking care of yourself. So make sure to celebrate those moments as well.
So what should women do? Like if someone is dealing with postpartum and feeling that rage, like what's the first step? Like, is there somebody you call, or do you?
So,
because I wonder, are those resources out there
as
far as like knowing who to turn to when that's happening?
I there have been a couple of times I should have gone back to the hospital, just
so
because
who told
I went
you to do that.
Honestly, I talked to my friend who helped me. I saw her at the gym the other day, and I went up to her out of my way, and I said, I just want to let you. So she runs Cirque Lodge.
Oh wow, okay.
My friend Brittany.
Yep.
She's amazing.
Cirque Lodge is like
she's at the treatment
rehab.
Yeah, it's a treatment facility.
Right.
And in my moment of so many, I just look back and see all the angels working for me on the other side, rooting for me. I know there's a lot of people here. I believe in life after death, and I believe in my angels, and I believe having these really crazy thoughts. I had one conscious, like normal thought, and it was so clear and loud. I can't even explain the spiritual experience, but it was call Brittany. And me and Brittany talk, like we will pick up from where we left off, but she wouldn't have been, I mean, I knew she was out of town, and it wouldn't have been a normal thought for me to call her.
Right.
And I called her, and I was just crying, and it was so embarrassing. Honestly, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed, but I knew she works with people in addiction, that I knew that she knew how to handle this situation. And so I don't even know, it just popped into my brain. I called her. She called the treatment facility center, told them I was going. She even, because at that time, my husband and I, like, again, our marriage was just horrible. He's such a good man. If I can't make it work with him, I'm going to die a lonely person. So he really is amazing. And I'm like, I'm going to die a lonely person or just die. Like, I just can't even make it work with like the amazing Scott. Like, I can't. So I didn't even want to call him. I was so mad at him. And she even was able to call my husband. And I thanked her the other day for being able to have that conscious thought. Because a lot of women go, oh, I didn't even think that there's a place to go.
But when she said that, how did you react to it?
What? When I said you need to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
I said I was relieved.
Okay.
Because I thought there's somewhere for me to go. Okay. There's hope. There's like a little flickering light there's hope. So I just remember going into the treatment center. I remember walking in being like, oh my gosh, this is happening. I even went to Chick-fil-A and I was shoving my mouth because I was like, I don't know what they're going to feed me. Because that's like where I went when I was having my meltdown.
Right.
I know I like had all those other thoughts, but I did actually think about eating because I love food.
Why Chick-fil-A is so crowded all the time. Bunch of pissed off women. It's like, I need a sandwich.
I made the French fries. No, I was like pounding Chick-fil-A and I was walking in like carrying my chicken strip and I was like, this is it. This is me. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And I remember just so exhausted. They put me in a room and they were behind. I fell asleep on the couch. Like, I just felt such a relief that my body just went, you're somewhere safe. You're good. Because you're not happy, but when they're like, you're safe, come in. It was like such a relief. And I fell asleep on the couch waiting for them. And they came in, like they said, we kept peeking in, but you were like so asleep. And I just was like on a couch like that over there, like just in a fetal position. I just passed out. And I woke up, they had a burger for me. I'm like, oh, you know me. Okay. Wow. And I just ate a burger.
Wait, was this Cirque?
No, it was across the street from Cirque. It's called Provo Canyon.
Okay.
Yeah. And they fed me a burger and it wasn't the best burger, but I was like, right, give me any food. And we talked and it was really great. But that I remember the second time, there was some, just because you go, just know it's a work in progress. You're always a work in progress. It's not like, it's like medication. It's not going to fix everything, but there's hope and there's other resources and skill sets you can gain. So the second time I lost it, I actually called the hospital to see if there was any room. I actually got pulled over and it was such a crazy thing. And I'm sobbing. The police officer's looking at me and I couldn't physically say the words like, help me. He could see it in my eyes, but I wanted so badly.
So hold on, you were driving to the facility?
I was driving around again. It was Sunday.
Just driving around.
It was Sunday. Chick-fil-A was closed.
But like you said, like you lost it. It's like, I
lost it. Yeah.
Like what does that mean?
Like I left. And what's so sad is my kids were like, where are you going? And I said, I don't know. And they're like, when will you be back? And I said, I don't know. Yeah. And what's so sad is that my kids went to a family house that day and they ran to my brother and sister-in-laws and they're like, mom's left and I don't know when she's coming home. And that's what they got from that. It's been a lot of mom guilt. But I believe through, I put them in therapy and together we're stronger than ever. So I just want you to know, to moms listening, your kids love you. You are just fine. If you do something to your, like, there is hope. And when you go through things, on the other side of pain is purpose and beauty. And that my children went through a lot. Like, I don't want to disregard that. So did Scott. But we have the best relationship right now.
Well, kids are resilient too. I mean, they can go through a lot. It's so funny how we
try like not to screw it up. They're all screwed up, no matter how hard we try. Like it's because we are imperfect beings.
Well, and we're holding ourselves to some like unknown standard. Like, you're worried about like, what if I screw them up for life? I'm like, what?
Well, you're
blaming yourself for something that may happen, 15, 20 years down the road. Like, but hey,
just
so
love
what?
them.
Like,
just love them.
They're fine, and they're going to be messed up too. And it's just more tools for their tool belt. You know, going through this stuff, like going to therapy, and not. Yeah. They're never going to judge somebody for going to therapy. Like, you know, this next generation, it's going to be much more normal for them. You know, I think we're kind of the first generation where therapy has become an openly safe thing to talk about. It's not 100% yet. But, you know, you think of like our parents' generation and then their parents' generation.
Mm-mm.
Well, think about how messed up, you know, we were talking about this the other day, like World War II veterans. You know, there were so many people affected by that. And you didn't go home and go to therapy. You just came home and you just
buck up
and handle it. And so how many alcoholics were there? How many
domestic violence?
Yeah. And, you know, our parents are the generation that grew up with those parents. And so we're not very far off from that. So, I mean, the more people that get, you know, like what your kids are going through and normalizing that and making it seem like it's a good thing and it's okay, like the better.
Yeah.
Well, now they're going to be able to help other people, right? Like,
and know what to look for and be better spouses. And
like a common thing, a saying that's come in lately is like, you know, things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you.
Oh, I love that.
You know, and so all of these things that are going through you, it's always like, okay, well, take a step back. What can I learn from this?
Absolutely.
But more importantly, how can I help somebody else? Right.
That's embracing the hard.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like, as you looked on how whatever happens, how you can turn that into helping someone else.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it kind of shifts your mindset and you look at things completely differently.
So different.
They get to go to Hawaii a lot. They're fine. Stop. Tell them to just look. You got to buck up.
We will share the love in Hawaii.
That's right. That's what we want. It's fun because we've all been through. You know, you've been through hard things, Andrew. Divorces in my family, like those are hard things. But you know what? You get through them, and there's so much I learned from it, and. Yeah, you can't hold yourself. It's so unhealthy to hold yourself accountable to what's the word I'm looking for?
A standard that doesn't.
Not even a standard, like.
Pegboard.
Like a hypothetical, right? You're holding yourself to a hypothetical.
Unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, and you don't even know that it is going to mess them up. So just don't worry about, like, you got enough to deal with right in front of you. Just stay there.
Well, and the youth that what's crazy is it all started out with women. And then when we came back from Hawaii, the vision was so clear about what I needed to do. And I never thought that it would go to girls. It was so clear. I thought for sure my Wonder Woman Academy would go first and then I would do girls. But I still haven't even done Wonder Woman Academy yet. I have Wonder Girl Academy. I have a workbook and I paid a videographer to do online videos and we're creating an online program for girls to do. But now I just go to the girls and I give them a workbook and it walks them through prompts in the journal and it walks them through how to handle emotions.
Right.
And it's insane when I leave youth groups. I probably get at least 8 to 10 messages from girls who are struggling.
Yeah.
And so the need is there. And my hope is that, I'm not a therapist. And that's another thing I get in my head. Like, I'm not qualified, all these things. I'm like, but what I have done is for people. I can help provide resources and contacts
and support.
And I tell these girls I'm a safe place. I tell women I'm a safe place. Everything I do Wonder Woman Wednesday about once or twice a month. And I share Wonder Woman moments that people shared with me. Good, fun. Oh, I've heard some really funny ones.
Right.
Hard. And what happens is I say, when you share, you're hard or funny or good, especially hard, it eliminates the shame. It's like Brene Brown's study. When you put words to shame or words to hard, it eliminates it and it makes you feel validated. But then also by you sharing, you're helping others, even anonymously. Women 100%. Will read something and I will connect people through Instagram so much. Like it's a full-time job on Wednesday. Scott's like, oh, it's Wednesday. Because I'm like, hold on, this girl's connecting. This is for her. I want to make sure she's not alone. And then all these things, everyone goes, oh, that's funny. I should laugh about that. Like this mom goes, yeah, my son left the toilet seat up and at 2 a.m. I fell in the toilet. I'm like, you know,
that water's freezing.
But she's like, I sat there and I got up and I was like, oh my, this is a Wonder Woman moment. Like I just fell into the toilet. So, you know, like just learning to not take life too serious.
How do you not like, because you have a special talent to connect with people and they will get vulnerable quickly. How do you not carry the heaviness of that with you? Like I talked to Danny Deaton about this because he does something similar for recovering people with addiction.
Right.
You know, and he talks about how sometimes it's a really, really heavy thing to carry. So how do you not, you know, take all of these other hard or struggling women and bring that home?
And it can be a lot. Like some days it can be maybe even a little triggering for my own. Like I can't deny that some things trigger me. I even co-hosted on a maternal mental health podcast once, and I came home like a little triggered. But I will say, I'm an empath, and I've read books on how and what to do when you take somebody else's problems on. And it's like, I tell women, like a lot of us are empaths. It's as human beings to connect. But what I do is I believe Jesus Christ atoned for my sins, and he atoned for pain. So if I can take, what I do is I visualize the woman giving me her pain and I put it in a basket and I give it back to Christ. And I know that sounds so spiritual and cheesy, but I believe that if I can empathize with somebody and take a little bit of pain from her and give it back to Christ, that's something that if we can identify when we take somebody's on, be like, okay, I've taken this on. Now how I'm going to give it back. And I'm not going to give it back to her. I'm going to give it back to my Christ. And that's how I feel, honestly, prayer and my Savior, Jesus Christ.
That's awesome. So what's next? I know you've got big stuff.
I know, but as things keep going, my eyes just get bigger and bigger. Like it's so fun because when we're as humans, we're meant to create.
Right.
Well, I remember the day you launched the journal.
Oh yeah, Jenna was my first customer.
I remember that night.
She's like, you might want to get rid of that one. Like, you know, when you get an order number 1. I'm like, yeah, well, you should frame that. Just kidding.
So what's coming? Well, first of all, we've talked about a lot. So what do you currently have going then? Let's just summarize real quick.
Yeah. So I have my Instagram, my Wonder Woman journal, where I share my Wonder Woman moments and kind of advocate for mental health. Right now I've restructured my website because I feel like I don't want to rely on social media. I do want to rely on like a pretty strong foundation of like a website. So I've been paying someone to help me restructure my website, and we're putting it into like a blog format and have easier to buy journals. And I'm going to actually have like a side office to have the Wonder Girl Academy. So when people purchase the package, they will get the journal and the workbook. And I'm going to make it like a present for the girl, whoever is receiving it, that it's an exciting thing and it's a gift, and that they can go in and log in and have a username and password and watch my videos, basically me walking them through the prompts in the workbook. And that's next, the Wonder Girl Academy. And then I have these retreats coming that it's called Use Your Wings Retreat, that I'm connecting with people through my page to help with that. And that's really what's next. I have things in my mind that I'm putting on a vision board. I would love to write a book, but that's coming. But as of right now, like Wonder Girl Academy, I'm going to do
journals, the workbooks.
Yeah, I have retreats, the Wonder Woman journal that's blank, the gratitude journal that I still incorporate the Wonder Woman moments, because sometimes people get intimidated by the blank pages. So I left 3/4 of the page for gratitude, and then like the last quarter of it is like to celebrate your Wonder Woman moments. Because I believe with gratitude, if we really do have this sense of gratitude, we believe, I think it's a Brene Brown quote, I believe we realize that there's enough and we're enough. And I think that's the basis of celebrating yourself, is gratitude. So sometimes I say start with gratitude and you'll gravitate towards the Wonder Woman journal. But then I created the prompted journal for girls, but I'd show up to these markets and so I would sell out to like college girls, women coming through for the prompted girl journal. So I created the Wonder Woman prompted journal. And I've been so busy. I haven't even like officially launched it and I'm almost sold out. So I'm like, okay, I need to like reorder more journals. So those are the 4 journals. And my hope is that I will get going on the Wonder Woman Academy to kind of incorporate that with retreats and all the things. So I'm just excited.
Very cool.
Where it's taking me.
If Gal Gadot ever comes to one of these things, can I please cater?
Gal Gadot.
I will donate the food. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, Gal, if you're listening.
If you're listening.
She is.
I'm catering that event.
Literally love her so much.
Oh, man.
And I tell people she has the physical attributes, but like think about who she is. Love, right? She's powerful. She's strong, but she's love. Right? Like I love when she sees the baby. Oh, baby. Like she is like the epitome of feminism.
I can't say
like
anything.
What is
Ashley will get mad at me.
I mean, like, but you know, women, like she just embraces.
For
I just
sure.
think she's so amazing. So.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me come. This was
seriously,
so fun.
I think it's so courageous that you talk the way that you do. And you're so comfortable in your own skin now with it.
Thanks.
And that's, sorry, I know we were ending, but I just keep thinking about you walking into the hospital that first time. And like that's a feeling you're sharing with people that like, I'm finally in a place where I can just
collapse and be
just be safe. Right. Like Brittany was to you, like
exactly.
Wasn't that her name?
Yeah, that was her name.
Right?
Yeah. I just want to tell people.
That's heavy for somebody to carry, but I mean, that's what we're here. You talked about Christ, like we are here to help him, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all here for each other. Empathy is something that we all need to be better with. And man, it really is just an amazing thing that you're doing. So
when you were speaking, I know we're wrapping up, but I just think it's so important that I ask women, like, why do you think we're supposed to embrace the hard? And they have different questions. And I sit there and I go, those are all right. But let me tell you why I truly believe embracing the hard when you were talking, because I feel like that's what happened. So when you embrace the hard, I feel like you surrender to Christ. And I feel like so many times as women, we try to keep it to ourselves. Like, no, we're supposed to keep it together. And I have to have all the juggling balls and I'm juggling everything and spinning plates with my toes. And I have to keep it all together. But when we stop and surrender, everything drops. Right. And that's scary. And it's vulnerability. And that's scary. And we think, well, we have to drop everything. But you know what Christ does? He helps you carry the load.
Right.
When you embrace and surrender, he goes, let me help you pick that up. And you go, oh, thank you. And I feel like that is what happened when I went to the behavior hospital. I embraced the hard and I felt him help carry the load. I literally was like, oh, I can sleep.
Well, and the people around you too, right? Like even the people at the hospital, like there are people that want to help you carry those plates.
Yeah.
Right. We just can't be scared and asking. I think in my therapy, like I've been to therapy a ton, especially with marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that I had to learn was I don't have to do it all by myself.
No, man's not meant to do things alone.
There's other people that will help. You just have to ask, but you have to ask for it.
It's the 5th law of the go-giver, the law of receptivity.
And asking for help is not weakness. It's strength.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's ballsy.
Strength.
Like that's the thing. Asking for help is harder. I mean,
it's the strongest thing you can do.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, so I'm supposed to ask for help, but how or who or where? I promise everything you do with me on my Instagram or my email or whatever, I promise to help you find resources and keep everything safe. Because when I tell little girls and women that it's a safe place, it's amazing the messages that pour in. For sure. So I can help you find phone calls, resources, anything.
Well, you're doing awesome stuff. It's been tons of fun.
Yeah, thanks
to see
for
it from like day one.
You really have seen it through like even before day one.
Uh-huh.
Like you saw me like through the darkest of days. Yes.
When your account got locked and you couldn't get into your Instagram account.
Oh, I was so bloody pissed.
Whoa. I want to talk about that.
I forgot my damn password.
This is like right as she was
so she wasn't like booted.
No.
I forgot it and I was so pissed. And then finally I was like, I guessed it and I literally was like, I was like, Scott thought someone died. I was like, I'm back in. Just kidding. Because I just want to reach people. Want to genuinely connect.
You're doing such an awesome thing. So I hope you keep going and it'll be fun to see kind of what's next. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for being supportive and having me. You guys are awesome. I love Nitty Gritty.
Thank you.